Top 10 highest earning movies of all time. Hello, lovely YouTube family. Welcome back to TV Explosion. In today's video, we're going to talk about the top 10 highest earning movies of all time. Before we start, I would want you to hit that red subscribe button so that you never miss out on any of our videos. Number 10. Frozen 2, 2019. Box office, $1.45 billion. Director, Jennifer Lee, Chris Buck. There's a bit of diminishing returns with the sequel to Frozen, the aching feeling that this exists not for any compelling narrative or artistic reasons, but because Disney didn't feel like leaving an easy $1 billion on the table. To the studio's credit, though, it didn't have to be this good. Almost anything with the name Frozen 2 and Anna and Elsa on the poster would have been an instant smash hit. Number 9. The Avengers 2012. Box office, $1.51 billion. Director, Joss Whedon. Nestled amongst the gaudy box office numbers of Joss Whedon's blockbuster is a much simpler achievement. Yes, The Avengers should evoke a deserved appreciation of Whedon's directorial skills, and yes, the film's release and reception make for a natural, and that's when it was official moment, that the MCU took over Hollywood. But for comic book fans especially, The Avengers represents the first instance of the superhero team dynamic truly captured and sustained on film. Even though the X-Men and the Fantastic Four had received big screen treatment, those films were all still pretty static. Number 8. Furious 7, 2015. Box office, $1.52 billion. Director, James Wan. Watching the 7th installment of the adrenaline-fueled Fast and Furious franchise, one gets the distinct impression that, when faced with a creative choice, the filmmakers asked themselves, what's the most insane, over-the-top thing we can do here? Then they did just that. For a series of films that has been a continual escalation in physics-defying stunts, Furious 7 takes it to an entirely new level. The result is a damn lot of fun. Furious 7 is part revenge thriller, part daring heist, and more than a little of a loving goodbye to a dear friend. Franchise star Paul Walker died in a car crash before filming was complete, and both his life and death loom large over the movie. Number 7. The Lion King 2019. Box office, $1.65 billion. Director, Jon Favreau. The Lion King feels less like a more realistic version of the classic animated original than a bloodless X-ray of it. The new Disney trend of making live-action versions of their animated catalog, live action, of course, being the exact wrong term for what this is, can have a purpose besides the obvious profitability of reviving an existing brand name if its goal is to conjure the spirit of the original rather than artificially reinflate its corpse. David Lowery's Pete's Dragon wasn't perfect, but it felt like a fond cover rather than, well, taxidermy. That's what the new Lion King feels like. It feels like taxidermy. It feels like computers attempting to impersonate real life, and doing so with such rigid, determined accuracy that the result feels both emotionless and even a little ghoulish. Number 6. Jurassic World 2015. Box office, $1.67 billion. Director, Colin Trevorrow. Jurassic World marks the 4th entry in its paleontological franchise, but it's probably more important as the 2nd chapter in the story of Chris Pratt's unexpected ascent to movie stardom. Pratt, seemingly born to make a career out of playing lovable doofuses, made his goofy tenor work for him in Guardians of the Galaxy. With Jurassic World, he's shed that skin almost entirely in favor of aping the hard-jawed macho men of the 1950s B-movie canon. That transformation lends the film inevitability, as if brand recognition didn't give Jurassic World enough of a box office edge. The image of Pratt riding a motorcycle side by side a quartet of raptors should sell Colin Trevorrow's picture to the crowds. Number 5. Avengers Infinity War 2018. Box office, $2.05 billion. Directors, Anthony Russo, Joe Russo. Avengers Infinity War is epic in a way that has been often aspired to, but never fully grasped when it comes to the translation from comic book panel to the big screen. It's what happens when movie makers take their source material seriously, eschewing unnecessary melodrama, even as they fully embrace the grandeur, the sheer spectacle of it all. And if there's one lesson Disney has learned, It's that if you focus on the viewer experience, the product lines will take care of themselves. For every frenetic fight scene in Avengers: Infinity War, and there are plenty of them, there are myriad character interactions and emotional beats the audience has been prepped for by the previous films. Okay, maybe not 2008's The Incredible Hulk. Number 4. Star Wars: The Force Awakens, 2015. Box office $2.06 billion. Director J.J. Abrams. The Force Awakens was the remedy to the near-terminal prequelitis of fans. J.J. Abrams and company accomplished this act of restorative cinema primarily through a return to the dirty future aesthetic that made the original trilogy feel so real, no matter how absurd the dialogue being delivered by the characters. That's not to say CGI is lacking, but whereas budget and technology constraints helped the first 3 films and an overabundance hurt the next 3, the balance between practical and special effects in The Force Awakens feels near perfect. Number 3. Titanic, 1997. Box office $2.21 billion. Director James Cameron. Decades after its theatrical debut, James Cameron's blockbuster epic is still so ubiquitous in the pop culture zeitgeist, its filmmaking marvels are drowned out by young Kate and Leo nostalgia that damned Celine Dion caterwaul, not to mention the now late James Horner's iconic score. Cameron's ear for dialogue may be woefully leaden, but he's a shrewd storyteller, plunking a Romeo and Juliet redux aboard the doomed ocean liner and flanking the fictional romance with historical details, groundbreaking special effects, and jaw-dropping visuals. Number 2. Avengers: Endgame, 2019. Box office $2.80 billion. Directors Joe Russo, Anthony Russo. Where does one begin? When it comes to Avengers: Endgame, that question is not so much an expression of wanton enthusiasm as a practical challenge in evaluating the destination toward which Kevin Feige and company have been steering story and viewer alike for the previous 11 years and 21 films. Though there have been plenty of 3-hour-plus movies and even a few 20-plus entry movie franchises, there's really nothing to compare with what Disney and Marvel Studios have pulled off, either in terms of size, quality, and consistency of cast, a moment of silence for Edward Norton and Terrence Howard, or in how narrow the chronological window, all things considered, those movies were produced. Number 1. Avatar 2009. Box office $2.85 billion. Director James Cameron. It makes sense that Avatar is the highest-grossing movie ever made. Irony and insincerity have no place in its extended universe. Whether or not James Cameron intended to crib the world of Pandora and its futuristic inhabitants from practically every fantastical urtext ever conceived, it hardly matters, because Avatar is modern myth-making at its most foundational. Cameron still seems to believe that the movies can give audiences a transformative experience, so every sinew of his film bears the Herculean effort of truly genius world-building, telling the simple story of Jake Sully, Sam Worthington, and his dances with wolves like saving of the Na'vi, natives to the planet of Pandora, from the destructive forces of colonialism. That's all for today. I hope you liked the video. If you did, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel so that you never miss any amazing video from us.